Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of our RPG series. Still haven't come up with a name for this game. We've got to do something about that soon so that we can even start developing a story based on the title of the game. Right now, it's just an RPG game. And yeah. Alright, so we are doing our inventory system. In the previous episode, we set everything up and then the patterns work. We have our different tab switching, which is very good. In this one, we're going to begin actually storing some of our inventory stuff. So let's just turn off our HUD here, and let me get out of 2D. Let's go down to where our player is. Okay, let's see, do we have anything in here which is chest-like? Okay, we don't. Alright, fine. Let's just use a cube. We're going to replace these assets a bit later. So we're gonna call this our chest. So it might have a weapon inside, it might have whatever we want to do, it might have it inside. So let's just scale it up and make it look like a chest. Scale it down a bit. Then I'm gonna just go into art. Let's just create a material here and call it gold. Then we need to give it a gold color. Let me just find my hexadecimal. Okay, so we're gonna go over to the color and we're gonna type in FF D700. That is our gold. We're gonna push the metallic map up, the smoothness up a bit as well. We're gonna slap that on there. Okay, that's our chest. Let's go in there and let's add a UI, no, not a UI, but a 3D object. We're going to add a text mesh pro text. Don't worry about the fact that it looks humongous at the moment. We're going to bring it up. So let's just scale it down. And then bring it down there, just above the actual board. We're going to center it. Then we're going to say press E, then there'll be the other instruction. So right now it seems a bit stretched and I don't want it to be stretched. Okay, let's do this. Let's delete this. I don't want it to be stretched. Let's just create the 3D text mesh pro text. There we go. I don't want it to be stretched out like that. Then let's now make that a child of that guy. Then let's scale it down. Bring it down, bring it this way, up and forward so that it's right in the middle there. Bring it up. Again, make it bold. Then let's change the font to none of these fonts that we brought in are working. So we might go with that guy. Until we get these fonts to work. So we're gonna say press E. Okay, let's make these maybe 30. There we go. Just like that. That's good enough. Now let's name this the instruction text. Perfect. So we have our instruction text, we have our chest, and then we need to interact with it. So right now our cube has got this collider, but that collider is a little bit small. So let's just remove that box collider, remove component. Then we're gonna add let's add a sphere sphere collider. Then let's just not scale up the box, but more of the sphere collider. So we want to increase the radius of the sphere collider, something like that. So let's make it 1. So if you are in that radius, you can interact with that box. So that's our interaction collider right there. Then we've had that set up, and we've had that set up. We just have menu with a few things. So now let's go into our player controls. Then we'll go to our inventory. Let's get into our inventory. So we have our dynamic tab system, but we're going to need a few other things. So let's first create an interface. So create a C# script, and then we're going to call it interactable. So everything that is interactable shall implement this interface. So if it's a chest, if it's a weapon, if it's a door, if it's pushing, if it's pulling, all those things that we can interact with in the world will implement this particular interface. So this interface will not be of type mono behavior. Okay, let me move the start and update. Let's just open that. What am I doing? There we go. We don't need the start, we don't need the update. What we're going to need in here is a void interact. Okay, so it's not going to be a public class, it's going to be a public interface. So everything will implement everything that's interactable in our game will implement this interface. So we'll just be calling this void interact, and then we can add other functions to this interface that we can implement for more functionality with everything that we want to interact with. So right now we can just interact, but if we say we wanted to do something else on interact, we would actually put the function there. All right, that interface is done. We can close it. We can close our dynamic tab system as well. Right, let's minimize Visual Studio. Let's come back here. We're going to add another script, and this one is going to be of type item. So why an item? So we're going to have our inventory system is going to work with scriptable objects. So the plan here is, if you remember, when, let me just turn this back on. If you remember, we've got these images here. So rather than us having to set each image up, we're going to set them up in items, and then we're just going to display them, the images on the, once we pick it up, we'll display its image there. So let's open our item, and I think we've done this, and you guys, I think right now know how to create scriptable objects. So we're going to remove mono behavior. We're going to say the scriptable object. We're going to create an asset menu here. So create asset menu, and we're going to say file name. File name is going to be equal to, or rather, file name is going to be outside, not inside. We're going to say file name is going to be equal to new item. That's fine. And then we're going to say menu name is going to be inventory / item. There we go. We're going to remove our start and our update. We don't need them. But what we're going to have is an enumeration. So public enum, and then it's going to be of item type. So we want to know what item have we picked up, and then we can have more logic depending on what type of item we picked up. So it's going to be is it a weapon? be, is it a craftable? So like, is it something we can craft with? And then is it a consumable? So craftables can create consumables, and then yeah, consumables can be consumed. So yeah, so if you've got more for your own game, you can add them here. You do not have to just leave it at the 3. You can add as many as you want, but just remember that just increases the size of your inventory system. So yeah, you can just go with it. Then we're going to say public string the item name, and then this will be equal to let's just leave it as string.empty for now. Then we're going to say public sprite. We need a visual. This will be the icon. We're going to have the public integer. This will be of type ID, so it will be an integer called item ID. Then we're going to say public string the description of the item that we picked up, so item description. Then we are gonna say public item type, the item type. We need to know what type our item is. And then we're gonna have public integer the item level. So let's say you picked up a sword which is level 1, or you picked up a craftable object which is level 1. It can only give you a certain amount of, so let's say you pick up wood which is small wood, it's like level 1, then you're going to only be able to craft smaller things. You know, we'll see how we make that work. So just put item level. Okay, so you can add more parameters or properties as you see fit, but for me this would do for this series. Now that we have that, we let it compile. Then we're going to come and go to create a folder. Then we're going to say items, and then we're going to open, create a new folder in here. We're going to say weapons. We're going to create another folder. We want our things to be well structured, so we're going to say craftables. And finally, we're going to create a final folder, and then we're going to call this one consumables. So let's start with weapons, and then let's create inventory item. We're going to call this our long bow. So the name is going to be long bow. It's going to be of type weapon. It's going to be 1. Then description, you can put your own description here. So we'll say the description of the item goes here. Okay, it's a weapon, it's level 1. We need a sprite for it. We do not have currently. Let's just find something. Alright, we need to bring in some sprites. For now, let's just give it something, even if it doesn't match. After all, we're not yet at the point where we're going to see it, but I should have some sprites in the next episode. So let's go to inventory, items, weapons, the bow. Let's just see what kind of sprites we have here. Right, but I'm just going to put the check mark for now. That's just a placeholder. Don't concentrate on that. So that's how you're going to create them. So if you wanted to create a craftable, you would come and do that. If you wanted to create a consumable, you would come and do that. But for now, let's go with the weapon. Then we need a way to be able to read this item. So we'll go back to the items, inventory, and then we're going to create another script. This one is going to be called the pick up item. So pick up item script. And I think you guys already know what we're going to do in this script. This script is going to go onto our chest. So just drag that there. We can open that. We're going to give it a few things. So it's going to have, first of all, a serialized. Well, let's make it public because we might have to use it in another script. So public item. So want to see what item is this, which is in here. Then we are going to come here, and then we're going to implement our I interactable. So it's going to complain. You can do quick actions and then implement interface. Okay, so we are going to remove what is there, and then we're going to say, first thing we're going to check if the okay, let's just leave it here because we've already created the next thing. So let's just leave that there. Let's go and create the one thing that we actually need for this. So the plan here is that we've got this pickup item, then we've got a player interaction, which is a script which is going to sit on our player. So this pickup item script will sit on all the items that we can interact with. Then the player interaction script will sit on the player, but we need a way of managing our inventory. So we're going to have an inventory manager script. So let's create another script and call it inventory manager. So this is the guy who is going to bring everything together. So let's actually write him out because he's the most important one. I wanted to start with the smaller ones, but I noticed that we actually need this guy. So let's say public static inventory manager instance. So we're making a singleton of the inventory manager. Now if you don't know about singletons, but you can let me know, and then I can maybe make a separate video to explain how they work. But basically we want this to be created once in our game. When we start the game, it instantiates once, then we can use it anytime. So we know that the inventory manager isn't going to be, it's going to be running at all times in the game. So we want to create it once, and then we can use it as we play the game. So rather than always create it maybe when we open the inventory or when we pick up something, we just want to instantiate it just the one time. So that's the plan. Then we're going to make a public list. So this list is going to be of type item. Okay, then this we're going to call it inventory items. It's going to be equal to new list of type item. Okay, then private void, let's do an awake function. So an awake function runs before actually a start function runs. That's why we want to do this in the awake function, because we remember I said we want to create a singleton before the game starts. We want to load a singleton once. So an instance of our inventory manager, we want to load it once before the game, while loading the game. Then once all the other start functions that we have in our different scripts start running, those which are depending on the inventory manager, we already find it already instantiated because the awake function runs before the start function. Okay, so let's say if instance instance is equal to null, then we're going to say instance is equals to this, else, all right, we're going to destroy game object. Yes. All right, that's our wake function. Now we're going to have a function in here called, remember this is our inventory manager, so everything to do with adding is going to be in here. So we're going to have a function called void, public void, add item to inventory. It's going to take an item, so the argument will be item. Then we're going to, now let me just put some comments here. We're going to say add the item to inventory. So we're going to say inventory items.add item. Then after that we are going to maybe show effects using particle system to show that the player has collected the item. So if it's a if our item is of something that we can collect, then we're going to do that. If it's something that we've eaten, we're going to show a different. If it's something that we can pick up, if it's pushing when we get to that point, or anything, we're going to look at if we do get to that point, we have different particle systems for these different particle things. So for now we just have this particular function. We shall keep this particular inventory manager shall keep growing. For this episode, let's just leave it up to there. Let's let it compile. Let's go to our player. Then, since we know that this we need to run every time, rather than putting it on our inventory here, on our inventory system, because this HUD is going to be off unless we want it, we will need to put it on a game object that will be active all the time, and that game object is our player. So right there we're going to put our inventory system, and then you can see we put our items right now at 0. Let's go back to pickup item. Back in the pickup item script, we are now going to have that which we say check if we have an active instance of the inventory manager. Wait, IM. Alright, remember IM is inventory manager. Okay, now what we're going to say is if the inventory manager, so if inventory manager dot okay, so if inventory manager dot instance, the instance that we created, if it is not equal to null, then we're going to carry on. Else we're going to say let's say debug dot log inventory manager not instantiated. Okay, now in here we need to pick up our item. So inventory manager dot instance, okay, dot add item to inventory, that item. Then we are going to go to the game object itself. We're going to say game object, or we could actually destroy it. So let's say destroy immediate game object. Okay, now we have that script. We have all our scripts for the picking up. What we do not have is how to pick up. So how to pick up the script that goes to the player now is what we do not have. So let's come and create the final script of today's episode. We've created a number of them. This is going to be player interaction. So for the dummy, for now, we're not going to be using it because it will bring some problems. So let's just turn him off. Player interaction will go onto the player. Again, let's drag onto the player. Open up player interaction. We're going to have a few things in here. So the first thing we're going to have is public. In the a public variable called the layer mask, which we're going to say interactable layer. Then we're going to now have our public float. Public float, the max interaction radius. I'm going to say this will be equal to, we'll say 3, and then we're going to have another public float mean, and this should be max like that. Mean interaction radius, which is going to be equal to 1. Then we're going to have a public string called interaction instruction. Interaction instruction. Then we're going to have public game object, the current interactable object. Perfect. So we don't need the start function, but we actually need the void update function. So in the update function, we're going to call check if in radius. We need that function, so let's write it down here and call it private void check if in radius. Oh my goodness, radius. Okay, what are we going to do here? We're going to have to calculate the dynamic sphere radius based on the distance to the interactable object. So we're going to say plot distance to interactable object is equal to max sphere radius. Then we're going to now say array, call it array, is going to be equal to new array. Then we're going to give it a bit of what we want it to transform the position, then transform forward as correct. Then raycast hit. Then we're going to now debug. Want to be able to see it, so we're going to debug the ray. So I can type, let's say debug debug dot draw ray, and we're gonna say ray dot origin, then comma ray dot direction. Then we're going to multiply this by the distance to object, and the color dot, we're going to say color dot blue, so we have the blue color, and then 1 as the duration, so a second. Now if our physics dot raycast, okay, ray there, so if our physics dot raycast ray comma out hit, we need, before the interactable layer, just put a comma there and then say we need a distance. So distance this to obj, like that. Then right, interactable layer, fine. If that is that condition is met, then the distance to obj is equal to, not plus equal to, but equal to the hit distance. Then we're going to debug again. Let's just get this guy. I don't have time to type the whole thing again. We're going to debug, but this time it's going to be green. Then we're going to now say if hit dot collider dot game object is not equal to game object, so it's not equal to this game object, then we're going to say interactable is going to be equal to hit dot collider dot get component. We want to check, this is us checking if it has got the interactable, if anything inherits that interface. So now we're going to say if interactable is not equal to null. So let me just put some comments here just to have you guys follow when you're on your own. So here we're going to attempt to get the interactable interface from the hit object. Okay, so if it is not now, we are going to then call a function that we do not have. So we're going to say show instruction text. So show instruction text. Then at the bottom of show instruction text, we are going to say if input dot get key down, key code is going to be our E. Then we are going to say interactable dot interact. Okay, so we're only going to interact if that is if first of all it's going to be this. Once this is shown, then we're going to wait for him to press, but because this is in the update, it will be running every frame. So if he presses while this is showing the E button, then he will interact. Okay, now let's see. We've got our if statement there. We can have our else just for us to catch any possible nulls. So we're going to first of all debug our line. It will be red if nothing has been hit. So it will be a red if nothing has been hit. Then we are going to have hide instruction text. So in case you did not pick it up and you're not interested, when you move out of the radius, it should hide. So we need those two functions. We need to create those two functions. So let's just close this guy. Then let's start with the show. So we're going to say private void show interaction text, and then we're also going to have the private void. Oh my goodness. Hide instruction text. So this would be a void hide instruction text. So inside the show instruction text, we are going to say the transform interactable, because what we want to get that text, remember that text is the child of our interactable object, so it will be interactable child is going to be equal to interactable object. So we've got the current interactable object to transform find. We're going to try and find our text. So the name of our text is going to be interaction instruction. Then after that, we're going to say if interactable child is not null, then interactable child dot get component. What component are we going to get? We're going to get text mesh. So not ProGUI, but just text mesh because it's a 3D object. So let's say get component text mesh. When closed, then we're going to say dot text is gonna be equal to interaction instruction. No. What did we call it? Wait a minute. Okay. We have to pass something here. So let's say string interaction ins. Let's call it ins for instruction. So it's going to be equal to the interaction my goodness, I can spell. Interaction ins. Then we're also going to have another argument of that, and then we're going to have another one, which is the game object of type. Actually, here let's change this. Let's not use that. Let's use our argument. So it's going to be game object of type interactable object. So we can just get this and then put that there. So now I'm going to say interactable child dot game object dot set active true, and the current, now we're going to set our current interactable object to be equal to our interactable obj. So obviously we've got an error inside of this guy because we need to pass that. So what we're going to do here now is to say right, instruction, the interaction instruction. So interaction instruction, and then comma the heat dot collider dot game object. But first we're going to now set our interaction instruction. So we're going to say if the heat dot collider dot object dot okay, let's do this. We're gonna have to find a way of getting our let's see, if interactable all right, for now let's just say we'll leave it as a generic text saying press E to interact. But what we're going to have in a future episode is press E either to interact, press E to collect if it's an item that can be a collectible item. All right, so that is that. Then we're going to have to write our oh boy, we're gonna have to write our height. So if current interactable is not now, then again transform interactable child is gonna be equal to current object dot transform dot find. Again, we're gonna find our text. So this guy, right? Copy that and then paste it in there. And then we're going to say if interactable child is not null, interactable child dot set active false, and then current interactable object is equal to null. That's it. Let's save that. Go back into Unity. Okay. So we do have our text there. Press E to interact. And we have our radiuses. And then interactable layer. Let's create a layer. Give that to our chest. So we're going to move, add layer. Then we're going to say interactable. We're going to come back to our chest, layer, interactable. Yes, change children as well. So now our pickup script needs an item. Let's go to the player controls, inventory, items, go to our chest, weapons, go to our chest, and then put our item there. So if we've done everything correctly, we should be able to interact with our chest. So let's hit play. We might have not set up some things we're yet to see. For instance, the chest interaction text. So we already coded this the wrong thing in the script. So let's remove that and say delete this 14, paste that, interaction text, paste that again, interaction text, save that. Come back here, turn that off. Right. So let's see. Let's hit play again. Let's go to our player. Okay, you can see we are shooting a ray there, and when we move, it's not yet working. Okay, let's not play it maximized. Let's play focused. I want to see what's happening, because I think we've got an issue. So there is our ray looking for whatever is interactable. When we move, it's not registering the actual sphere collider that we have on our chest. So let's make this a trigger, and then let's see if it will trigger then. Still nothing. We're still not getting anything. Okay, what is our criteria? What are we looking for in oh, wait a minute. Have we put our player interaction script? Okay, we have. We want to change that to interactable there. Okay, now it should be able to register. All right, there we go. It's registering, but there is no text mesh attached to the interaction text. That's not true. The interaction text, it is text mesh pro. Okay, so we're almost there. Maybe we just messed up. Let's see, interaction text. Text. It's complaining about this part. Let's see, text. Let's see. Text mesh pro, not text mesh, but text mesh pro. And now we should have it working. So if you set everything up correctly, we should have it pop up. So there we go. There is our debug, looking for anything interactable, and then there we go. Press E to interact, and when you go out, press E to interact, and when you go out, press E to interact. We leave the radius, press E to interact. Let's just change our interaction text. Let's turn that back on. Let's make that 20. Maybe, yeah, 20 is fine. Let's play again. Then there is our raise. We move, press E to interact, press E to interact, press E to interact, and then when we press E to interact, it destroys it. But when we come to our player and then we look at our inventory items here, you can see we've got our longbow. So now the next thing is to visualize this in our UI and also have this longbow be able to be equipped as a weapon. That's the next thing. So you should be able to equip this as a weapon and then be able to use it. All right. So, but right now you can see we have our longbow right there as an inventory item. Okay, so if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have been showing. We are already at 186. Let's try to hit 200. Hopefully before the year is out, but we're remaining with a week to get that done. So if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. And then for all those of you that have been here, we are still going to be going through we're not going to take a break during the Christmas and New Year period. So this video is going to come out, and there's another one that's going to come out next weekend. Yeah, because we've got a lot to do, so we do not have time to start taking breaks, but we'll take breaks once we've done a few more things. Okay, so again, if you are new to the channel and haven't yet subscribed, consider subscribing. It will help the channel out a lot. I'm trying to hit that 200 mark before the end of the year, and I know it's still got like 14 subscribers left, but I think we can do it. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.